What's going on, folks? We have, of course, Dynamite that happened on Saturday instead of a Wednesday because of scheduling for the NBA playoffs, altering this Wednesday night schedule for Dynamite. As well, it will change next week where Dynamite, instead of on Wednesday, it will be on Thursday afternoon. I was a bit late to the party, didn't know what time they were tuning in, so I got to pull up another website where they, of course, have the full episode. And here we are. We had like 4 tag team matches with some building up for All Out coming early September 5th and some just being tag team matches in the semblance of just having tag team matches. Like, I'm going to start right now going over the match, the whole card. We had a tag team match involving FTR versus the Private Party, a women's tag team final, the Elite against some Jobbers of the Dark Order, an 8-man tag match involving the Natural Nightmares against and the Jurassic Express against the Butcher and Blade and Phoenix. I'm sorry, the Lucha Bros. I like calling them by their individual names. The only thing that was important was the title change. That was the main event. That was Brody Lee against Cody for the TNT Championship. That was literally over the monotonous oversaturation of tag team matches where there was 4 with one-on-one match. That was the most watchable because at least it was fine. I got the time limit and know where it was going to end. The match ended in like 6 minutes. Over. It should have been more how much of his work rate BS matches been trying to get over like monster heels like Lance Archer. Yet Brody Lee over like one match he beat the piss out of. We had the opening contest that was FTR, with the only thing is a new associate and a new manager after the tag appreciation BS. Even though having tag team matches on AEW is pretty much a religion, it was Tully Blanchard that's affiliated with Sean Spears. I'm shocked the interviewer didn't bring that up when after their match against Private Party, and it was just decent chains of pinfalls with some drop kicks. There was a camel clutch that transitioned to a drop kick to the back of the head with some decent cutoffs. Of course, I can see why Jim Cornette likes this tag team. Brings some modern sense of wrestling with, of course, a traditional old school sentiment. I get it. They just have no other character simplifying that other than they seem like regular southern dudes that do old school wrestling. And it's just so long. This match went for so overly long. You could have just blown up the part of the Private Party that's literally just them doing freaking drop kicks and planchas. They sell a bit, and we get the legitimacy of why Tully Blanchard. Tully Blanchard did help in some close calls over planchas, shoving away Dax Wilder in some moves involving Isaiah Cassidy. It just felt like they were just going all over the place. They were trying to fill in time that didn't need to be filled. This match didn't have to be at least 16 minutes long until it ended. I'm just completely I'm just infused with tag team matches over us just having like at least a few one-on-one matches last week. 2 weeks ago. Are you serious? Next up, we had an 8-man tag involving the Jurassic Express and Natural Nightmares. That's QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes against the Butcher and Blade and the Lucha Bros in an 8-man tag. And we started immediately after they opened to the ring. We had stuff popping up. We had planchas, double planchas, some decent kicks. We had Dustin playing around with toys later on the night. Sorry to bring that up. It just looked dumb to me. QT Marshall was doing athletic stuff while he's built like he should be your nearby clerk for a Best Buy. While doing enziguris, there's like lackluster no selling. And then as soon as it looked like Pentagon had the better chance doing the package pile driver with the dropkick, Blade looked like he was trying to do the move to help out with Pentagon because Phoenix wasn't in the ring. But somehow because he was doing his move, That was just him and his brother's move. He pushed him off and cost a schoolboy. So literally, Pentagon costed the match in the 8-man tag, and it was completely just spot fest after spot fest of BS happening in the ring. All I know is these guys somewhat are intertwined with the baby faces into they're just having this 8-man tag to just have an 8-man tag. Nothing has logic in this show. I'm being serious. We also had it ended up with Eddie Kingston coming out, bringing up, "We from the Indies. We do dumb shit for like at least $100. It's doing dumb shit for now at least near $100,000." And as much as Eddie Kingston is getting some crap from other fans that review Dynamite, I don't mind Eddie Kingston. I don't mind his hood OG Phil persona. I think it would be nice to have at least some source of grit, especially for an indie-rific primetime televised show like Dynamite, to at least have some source of grit. I don't know if this is steaming into a faction involving the Butcher and Blade and the Lucha Bros. Hopefully it's just the Lucha Bros so they can get some tag, so they can get more TV time, because the Butcher and Blade, they just are jobbers at this point. And I seen their feud he had with LAX back when he was on Impact, and that stuff was entertaining. So hopefully, I get to see a lot more of Eddie Kingston, and he actually gets the Lucha Bros back into legitimacy, because that Death Triangle crap with Pac just wasn't it. It was just something to just beat the piss out of Orange Cassidy with, and that was a waste of time. Now that guy's stuck in England. We also had involving a promo involving Moxley with involving MJF, and how Paradigm Shift wasn't enough to get you over and see, and bringing up that he's too much to handle. He referenced, he vaguely referenced to Renee that he had a wife, involving how much trouble he is. It's just a bland. It feels like he's paranoid as hell every time he does a promo. I mean, at least he's more intense in his promos, other than saying he's been scratching and crawling, looking like he just crack and eats hot dog buns before he does a promo, like he did back in 2016 when he was world champion. So I'm just an average promo off Moxley, in my opinion. We also had, of course, a Mimosa Mayhem match, the first ever match that, of course, he referenced the Money in the Bank briefcase ladder match that he invented but never won. So obviously he's not going to win this pay-per-view match come All Out. And the only way to win this match is to pin, submit. Either way, I feel like it's going to end up pin or submission. Because who else is going to actually, like a jobber match like this, to be tossed in a mimosa, even though I feel like the spot's still going to happen for a source of embarrassment. Jericho did bring some congratulations and some respect to Orange Cassidy for defeating him on Dynamite the previous episode. Got over that you actually have heart and determination. That obviously ended up in an attack by the Inner Circle, just dousing him with champagne. I'm not gonna call it a little bit of the bubbly. Like that meme's over with me now. And of course, it ended up with that's it. Didn't bleed, didn't do anything more embarrassing than dousing him with alcohol over his eyes, with his face looking swollen as hell. We also had an MJF promo that involved him going over because he suffered a paradigm shift after his last press conference, that ended up with him defeating a paradigm shift by Jon Moxley. And over the holding neck brace, doing some cheap shots over to Moxley, him looking like he can't feel his neck, him asking for Wardlow's help. It's super entertaining, and calls for a lawsuit for the finisher to be, the paradigm shift to be banned at All Out come their match. Obviously calling him a badass that you you can win. You bet you can win without using your finishing move. I mean, at the stakes of it, I wouldn't mind if Kenny Omega. I mean, no, not Kenny Omega. Moxley loses the title because I feel like it's just overstayed his welcome. He already beaten so many legitimate guys, and it's just been bland for any sort of competition because how underwhelming I thought the feud he had with Brian Cage was. I bet Michael Elgin's going to be on AEW for some apparent reason. Just a bet. It's just a bet. And seeing how underwhelming it's been, Over and Nothing hasn't got that enticing, and it's probably because of the lack of fans, and that has to do with also the drop in viewership. It's proven in some sources that you can get good viewership without live attendance. There's no excuse to the access of streaming and all this bullshit and everybody staying home. There's no excuse. But thanks, you're banning the guy's finisher, meaning he's obviously going to win if you have some sort of restriction. Unless you're doing a lot more that's going to be all against Moxley's favor. Next up, we had the Elite against Mr. Five, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds. And you know who they are because they take off their masks, except the other guy. It's so dumb. So dumb. The match ends with, obviously, the Elite won. I don't know what you guys expect me to say. The Elite won. There was no challenge other than semblance to cutting off Omega or some parts of the Young Bucks outside of the ring on the opposite side, doing some drop kicks, a pile driver outside, a dual pile driver on the outside, cutting off the Meltzer driver, some V triggers, that dumb combo that I praised the other time when they were when they were wrestling the previous episode. What if I get German suplex, a kick, that I will never get to win. And it just felt like they were just wrestling to wrestle. Other than the Elite is now feuding with the Dark Order now. It's just there got to be some semblance of feuds going on, and I thought Dark was supposed to be like their B show to at least extend the storylines to have a reason to view content. You can't just do the sake of wrestling. Just do wrestling for the sake of wrestling. Like, you have to get some logic into this. You got to give some reason for people to tune in, other than these guys are wrestlers. It's just bland at this point. And it just and people forget that Kenny Omega's tag team champion. With a makeshift tag team like Hangman Page, you can't have just gave it to the Young Bucks or something. I mean, I hate the Young Bucks, but at least they shown to be the more exciting tag team. With a private party, the best friends can't have it. You can at least give it to the Lucha Bros, or at least some parts of the Dark Order. Somebody that have a better record. And these guys keep feeding TV time, yet they do nothing important. I thought the point of that match they had at Revolution is to at least drop the belts, and it's like they have no chemistry at all. And somehow they're still holding on to the belts. I don't get it. And now they're in this hit or miss feud with FTR that's obviously going to come to a match later. I don't give a damn, and now they're going to be in a gauntlet. And it's like, but Hangman is friends with FTR, so soon I don't care. Make them lose the belts. Please let them lose the belts. How long have they been holding this? Since early 2020. So it ended up with the Meltzer driver. Dark Order loses with their jobber part of their faction, and there we go. We had Darby Allin against Will Hobbs. So this was our first one-on-one match. What it ended with, of course, Darby Allin winning. It ended up with Taz calling out Darby Allin because, of course, he interfered with Brian Cage's match and they beat him in a tag team match. So it came with Taz introducing a new part of the Taz Foundation. I don't think that's what it's called. It's Ricky Starks dressed up as Darby Allin, mocking his promo style, mocking how he lives, and all that stuff. Thought it was pretty decent mockery. Then it came with Brian Cage assaulting him from behind, and it just came into an assault. Ricky Starks taking off the face paint, saying that there's no difference to us. He's saying how he's better than him, saying he doesn't need to hide himself, define himself with face paint because he's Ricky Starks. It was fine. It was basic as it got to be. I mean, there's barely been any Ricky Starks on TV to even define him as much as a character other than he affiliates with Taz. And Taz is already like a pseudo-commentator plus manager for Brian Cage. So it just feels like out of the blue, Tony Schiavone just been on an interview. I don't know where the hell Excalibur is. And they keep like putting 3, 4 commentators. Like, dude, just stick to 2 guys or do some shit. Because it should be just Tony Schiavone and freaking Jim Ross at this point. Because it just feels like we're super inconsistent. We also have Thunder Rosa calling out Hikaru Shida for a one-on-one match for the Women's Championship. So that's a bit cool. Shockingly, they're going up to NWA. Hopefully this comes into a partnership because it's been really rough for NWA in my opinion. I mean, they haven't been getting any sort of openings for chances to do new episodes of NWA Power. Yeah, even Stu Barrett, Wade Barrett, if you don't remember from WWE, even would be shocked if they even return back to do episodes or do anything at this point. Billy Corgan's been really stuffed into a corner, and it's smart for him to make sure that these wrestlers are super safe. So I don't know where the hell Ken Anderson's gonna be, or where the hell Eli Drake and James Storm. I think they're still tag team champions. I'm just really concerned because I like NWA Power. I liked it from the first episode. I liked when they had Scott Steiner come out. I just wanted them to do more stuff since the pandemic started. A whole lot of BS happened, but I thought over the recent episodes it got staler. Hopefully they come back because NWA literally was my saving grace in 2019 when I was just getting sick of WWE and AEW just wasn't doing it for me sometimes. We had the women's tag team tournament final that you win a trophy and you get gold medals and blah blah blah. Branded women's power. No, you need star power, not women's power. But the only notable name that you have in the women's division is Awesome Kong, and she's barely on TV. You had a dude hold your women's title for like a majority of the year. Don't give me that BS. We also had Evilise, I think I'm saying it right, Evilise and Diamante against the Nightmare Sister, that's Allie, that she used to be part of the Butcher and Blade, don't know what happened there, and Brandy Rhodes. And Brandy couldn't bump if it was to save a life or two. So it came up to just getting some drop kicks in, some headlock chases. Yeah, it was man. It ended up off Evilise getting the pin over Allie for the win over some disconnections off Brandy and Allie. The match was okay. It was forgettable for a tournament that I thought. I mean, many people has thought that this tournament was going to have new belts for the women to at least define the women, because nobody cares about your midget Japanese women that you keep over pushing that are not doing anything for your women's division. And Thunder Rosa is just coming there for help to bring some legitimacy to your terrible women's title and your terrible women's champions. Who you had? Riho, that's like looking like an 11-year-old that held the belt for like several months and been tossing women like ragdolls. You've been having Nyla Rose, that's originally a dude. No disrespect to the LBGT. Sorry, I'm not used to saying it consistently, so that I'm going to be butchering it. To the transgender community, if that's better for you, it's just not doing it. And you have another Japanese woman that can barely connect to the fans, has no charisma. All she does is kick the shit out of people. And other than Asuka, that's funnier, more entertaining, has tremendous matches. It just doesn't flow as well. And her coming with a freaking kendo stick just doesn't look good. It doesn't. It's not bringing fans. Well, you have like women like Penelope Ford. I don't give a damn if you give Brandy that can't wrestle a broom the title, because at least brings some semblance that these are important women holding the belt, other than women that should be in a mid-card shimmer faction. But we have new winners for the women's tag team cup. They got a big trophy. Instead of the medals and the flowers, they tossed them out so they can hold their flags out. That's pretty cool. Next up, we have the TNT Championship for the main event. And we had Cody against Brody Lee. Brody Lee didn't even come out with the Dark Order until after the match. And they call it the prestigious title, even though it's existed for at least 4 months. Prestige. We gotta stop throwing that thing around. We had, of course, the match was one-sided. Kicking Cody around, chains of power bombs all over the place. Discus hilarious. Cody tried to get some source of a babyface comeback with some drop kicks, some clotheslines. And it just took seconds until like Cody looked like he blacked out. And it ended with a powerbomb, and then the discus lariat ends the match. Kept tossing stuff around. Cody was just getting beaten the piss out of. I thought like Orton was about to throw in the towel. They would do that overrated spot, even though it's a wrestling match. It ended up with the Tony Schiavone coming out after the match. It ended in like 6 minutes. And it would have been shocking if that was a world title win, but it was a mid-card title win. So, it's still impressive because Cody's a top guy in the show, even though he's not a world champion. So I guess that's some source of craziness. It ended up with Tony Schiavone interviewing Brody Lee after the TNT title win, saying that people like you didn't give us a fair shake, people like you were holding us back, and calling him out to call him the TNT champion. Ended up with tossing Cody on the stretcher. Arn Anderson tried to do something until he got beaten the shit out of, until it was shown that QT Marshall and Dustin were beating the crap out of. Brandy came to protect Cody. There was some of the old scraps of the TNT title prototype, literally shards that should hurt him. Like, I swear there should be cuts on him by now. We're literally on his back. Brandy tried to protect her until they have a female part of the Dark Order. A female member of the Dark Order come in and choke her out, leaving the entire Nightmare family completely wasted. Woo, that's our ending of Dynamite. Really long review, man. I'm trying to bring some semblance of why there were so many damn tag team matches that meant nothing except transitioning into, like, we just need more tag team matches. Who do we have? We have SCU, the Jurassic Express, the private party that can consistently lose matches. I think we have 2HQ, but they're barely on Dynamite. Of course, Kenny Omega and Hangman, the frickin' Young Bucks. Ortiz and Santana, Los Sex Gods, Best Friends, Lucha Bros, and the Butcher and Blade. That's 11 tag teams. Most of them are so spammed out that they barely have time to breathe, and most of them are either not taken seriously, they lose, or just jobbed out because some of the guys from the Elite or the Inner Circle need to get over to bring some semblance of mainstream credibility, even though they seem looking like complete goofs. Why sign these guys? Why we lose guys like Jimmy Havoc? We lose, and there's barely. Where was Colt Cabana until lowering him to the Dark Order for something? And Brody Lee's already TNT champion without him being involved in the show. So that made no sense, man. I'm trying to. I want to like the show. I really want to. I won't give up on AEW yet. There's no chance. I'm giving up. There's still a lot of potential. And it just felt like the show just didn't hit. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's completely terrible, because it's not entirely. But there was like so many tag team matches that is just completely without any source of reasoning. And most of the tag teams are barely even shown or just jobbed out. And I just feel like, why is there still an Elite? Why is there... Why aren't the Young Bucks tag team champions? They gotta make them lose the titles at the pay-per-view. Like, I'm being serious. The only thing I'm excited for that they're at least building is the MJF versus MJF versus Jon Moxley match. I don't know, the Mimosa match, and probably just to see Thunder Rosa against Hikaru Shida. Hopefully Thunder Rosa wins. I don't care about Hikaru Shida. And pretty much Darby Allin against, I don't know, they're probably going to do it against Ricky Starks because Ricky Starks takes it a bit more personally. I don't know what they're doing for Brian Cage because it just feels like he's just been in the back row since been treated as a complete weakling. He had to get the towel tossed on him, obviously, because of risk of injury. Then he just gets screwed up again in a tornado tag team match. So it just feels like he has no source of dominance. After what looks to be a strong open, you give him his own belt. Even though he just came into the show. So, like, the heavyweight division is completely thrown out of whack. And you still have Cassidy feuding with Jericho. Just to break the tie in their feud, that means absolutely nothing. Come on, man. But, that's the show if you like it. I mean, it was nice. I mean, we even got to see a segment involving Britt Baker being like, I'm a dentist, I'll help you guys because you guys keep kissing Penelope's a thought. Joey's still fapping whenever you guys are making out. Oh god, I'm terrible with this. With even throwing in some benefits from Penelope Ford to deal with Big Swole, because why are they still feuding? For no reason. This has been going on for months, and the most teases we get is that Britt Baker will be healthy come September, teasing out that she still got to deal with a Big Swole for whatever reason. Hikaru Shida can't face off against any other challengers. When it could be Nyla Rose, saying she got Vicky Guerrero now. That's not built up upon. We have, who else? He could have just made Awesome Kong a monster again. Don't know why that ain't a thing. That was a show. I'm not going to try to give it a clarifying rating, because I just felt like this was just mediocre. But for the sake of wrestling, that's what they do. And it's so bland. It just feels so bland and overdrawn with this much tag team wrestling. It's so dumb. But that's the show. If you guys think differently, comment down below. I like hearing opposing opinions. But that's it coming from me. Enjoy SummerSlam, everybody.